Hi everyone, welcome back to the Ellie Craft channel. For those of you that are new, I am Lorraine and I'm coming to you from Kent in the UK. For those of you that are returning, hiya, thanks for coming back again. So, I am going to switch things up a bit this time round. I've decided to kind of switch things around slightly. So normally I do a whip section and I do a finished object section and I do an incoming section. This time around I felt like I want to try something slightly different. So I'm going to be sharing with you the crafts. I'm going to separate things into the crafts. So this time round I only have knitting and cross stitching to share with you. So I'm going to be having my knitting section and the cross stitching section, and then at the end I will still do the incoming section. So I'm going to break it down into the different crafts and see how you guys like that. Give me some feedback in the comment section below the video. Let me know what you think of this arrangement. So let's jump straight into the knitting. So for my knitting, I dug out a basic shawl shape instruction sheet that I found a couple of years ago on, where did I find it? On the internet somewhere, I can't remember where. And this has been written up by Derrier Davenport, and I'll show you what it is. It says here Laylock, sorry, laylock.org. Anyway, so I found this on the internet a long time ago. It's the 5 basic shawl shapes, and it gives you basic instructions for the construction of each type of shape of shawl. And I have followed the instruction for the triangular shape shawl. I had some yarn that I have had in my stash for a short while that I wanted to use up. It was literally one ball of yarn and I didn't quite know what to do with it. I didn't want to make gloves, I didn't want to make a hat. Wasn't sure what to do with it, so I thought, oh, now's the time to perhaps have a go at making this shawl. Now, the instruction sheet just gives you the basic construction of the shawl. It doesn't give you any patterning. So I decided I was going to just do it in garter stitch and then just kind of play along and just knit along and just do things, make it up as I go along basically. So that's what I did. So the yarn I've used is called Sparkle Glamorous yarn. It's a DK weight yarn and I got it from, it was gifted to me, but I know it's available from B&M stores here in the UK. Hopefully you can see that. Not sure what the colour is, but it is a pinky colour. And I think I've shown this in previous videos where I've knit other things. But this is what the shawl ends up looking at. So it's more or less a shawlette because it's a small shawl. Because I ran out of yarn, it is a small shawl, but it's triangular, as you can see. It has the basic construction of a triangular shaped shawl. So it's got the spine down the centre there, and there's also those loops that you get forming across the tops of the shawl here and across that side. But I've knit it in garter stitch to make it easy, so I didn't have to think too much because I was trying to just learn the construction and then just see how things go from there. So I've done it in garter stitch, and I've noticed that when I've kind of got a certain distance, I felt like let's switch things up a bit and try something just to kind of make it not look so plain. So I added in a few yarn overs which create these little holes, and that's what I did for this section. And then before I got to the end of the yarn, I did a few more yarn overs here, so you'll see the loops, the holes from the yarn overs. But that is it. That's what the triangular shawl turned out looking like. I'm quite pleased with it. It is small though, so it's not your massive shawl construction. It's a shawlette, so it's quite small, but it will do. It could just be a nice little scarf for somebody. I'm thinking of just gifting it to somebody to use as a scarf. Maybe my daughter even might like it, just to keep her neck warm in the winter months. But that is it. So that was my first finished object, and I think I used a size 4mm needle, and as I said, it's a DK weight, double knit yarn weight for this. So maybe if I'd have done it in a fingering weight yarn, I probably would have got a bit more out of it, a bigger shawl slightly, not sure, but you know, whatever. So that's the first finished object, my from my knitting. Then I worked on some socks. So I showed these socks a while back. I started these a long time ago, and these are my scrappy socks, so I just use up leftover fingering weight yarn that I have, and just each time I finish a project that I'm using fingering weight, I just add in the leftover yarn to the sock, and that's what I've done here. So I can't tell you what the sock yarn is here, but I think this was Rainbow Wishes. This was from Pixie Yarn. I think it was Rainbow Wishes, and I was here last time. I worked my socks in tandem, as I mentioned before. I was here last time, so I've just used leftover sock yarn and just worked on the foot of this, done the heel flap and gusset, and I've just worked part of the foot, and then I've run out of yarn, and now I just need to either lengthen the foot depending on what size I want the sock to be, or just finish off with the toe section. But that is where I got to with this. So as always, I've done a 2x2 rib cuff here. So I start with an old Norwegian cast on or German twisted cast on, a 2x2 rib. I've done stocking stitch. This is 2x2 rib for about 2 inches. Sorry, I'm going too quickly. I've done stocking stitch until I get to the heel flap and gusset. These are 64 stitch socks, which is my usual size, and I am using 9-inch circular needles, as you can see here, and they are a size 2.25mm, which I think is a US size 1. So that's how these socks are being worked. As before, I will put them down now until I get some more scrap yarn to work a little bit more on these, but these will go away for the time being until I have some more scrap yarn to work on them. So that's socks. Those are the socks. Then I moved on to a top. So I've had this pattern in my stash for a long time. But what happened was I bought some yarn during the summertime to make a summer top, and it's this King Cole bamboo cotton yarn, and it's in the colour lemon. And I bought 4 balls of this to make a summer top for myself, and then I thought the leftover yarn I can make a nice little summer cardigan for a relative, a baby relative. And I didn't get around to doing it during the summertime, and I've been looking at it in my stash, and I've been thinking, right, I really want to use up the yarn, finish off what I've got, and move it out of my stash so that I can buy some nice new exciting yarns. So I was looking for a pattern in my pattern stash or pattern library, and I was originally going to use something that I'd already done, a pattern that I'd already used, but then I thought, you know what, do something different, Lorraine, change things up a bit, why not try a different top? It's not like there aren't loads and loads of tops to choose from on Ravelry. So I came up with this bamboo summer top designed by Nancy Ritchie. She's getting pearly with it on Instagram, and that is what the top looks like. I'm not sure if the picture's really doing it much justice. So it's a lovely summer top, sleeveless with a higher neck, and then it's got a lace section at the bottom. And I thought, ooh, yep, I've had that in my collection, my library stash for a while. So let me have a go and see how it turns out. So I got the needles out, and I decided to use, I think her pattern suggests that I use 4.5mm needles, but I know that with my gauge I'm usually 4. I usually work to a 4mm. I work with 4mm needles, and I usually get gauge with that for my knitting patterns, and that works fine. So I decided to, instead of using the 4.5mm needles that she suggested in her pattern, I decided to use 4mm needles. That's the only change I have made originally. I did show some pictures on Instagram where I have completed the top. So this is what the complete top looks like. So here's the front. So the front and back are the same. and they're quite a high neck, and then the sleeve is just a normal kind of cut out sleeve, and then you get the detailed lace section at the bottom, which I love. So I blocked this originally. So what happened was I knitted up the top, and then you can probably see the difference from here between the yarn. So I knitted the top up to about here. I finished the top completely, tried it on, took some photos, thought, yeah, it looks okay, and then went back to it and thought, not sure I like the length of it. So the lace section here, when I put it on, my navel belly button was around this section, and you could see this whole section here just showed my tummy, and I wasn't comfortable with this bit kind of exposing my tummy. So after about a week of having it in my wardrobe and trying it on a couple of times to see if it was just me or if I didn't, I blocked it as well to see if it made any difference, and I really wasn't comfortable with the length and the lace section being right over my tummy section, that I wasn't really comfortable exposing to this extent. I mean, it wasn't massive, it wasn't hugely what's the word, it's not transparent, you can see through it a little bit. I just wasn't comfortable having the lace section over my tummy. So what I decided to do was to frog it back. So you can probably see I frogged it back to here, and then I lengthened the body. So the yarn that I unravelled, I then used to knit up to here and lengthen the body section, so that when I put it on, the lace is now below my tummy section, so it wasn't drawing attention to my tummy, I feel. So I'm a lot more comfortable with the way that it looks now, because it's slightly longer in length. And the only thing I think, I like it, I do like the top, but it is a summer top, so it's not something I will be wearing immediately. The only issue that I have is that the neck is quite high on this, but I understand that once I've washed it, it might stretch a little bit. I mean, my other cotton tops or bamboo cotton tops have stretched slightly since I've knit those up, so I'm expecting this to kind of soften slightly once it's been washed, and maybe hang a little bit lower. But I think that if I did knit this again, I probably would lengthen this section here, the top of the sleeves, to lower the neckline a bit so it doesn't sit so high, because it's quite high up on me. It does look really nice, and I think that it will just probably take a little bit of getting used to, because I'm used to having my tops slightly lower down in the neck, and not as high. So I think it's partially my own personal preference. I don't think there's anything wrong with the top. If you're comfortable with wearing tops that come up, necklines that come up quite high, I think it's a really, really lovely top, but I'm just not used to it. I think I'd have to wear it a few times, get used to it, because it actually does look quite flattering on me. Once I've got it on, it does look quite flattering. If I can, I'll try and insert a picture so you can see what it looks like on. Bear in mind that the pictures that I took were before I increased the length, and also before I'd woven in all the little straggly ends of cotton. So yeah, so that is that. So I finished the top. I might wear it a couple of times if I'm lucky around the house before I decide to put it away with the rest of my summer wardrobe, because of course we are now in autumn and it's cold. So yeah, so that is my knitting. That is all of my knitting. I have bought some yarn, but I'll show you that in incoming. And I have, actually maybe I'll show you that now. So I've got, for my knitting, I purchased some yarn from, let's see, where did I get it from? Trying to get the label, hold on a second. So I got two hanks of yarn called Sweet Pea Sabotage, and they are from Lay Family Yarns. So this is what the yarn looks like. In the hank it was different. I'll insert a picture if I can of what it looks like in the actual hank. But this is what it looks like once I've wound it up with my ball winder. It's a lovely kind of mixture of pinks with some speckling in there, some blue speckling. And I really like the look of this for a shawl. So that was the plan for this one. This is from Lay Family Yarns. That's their label. And the colour is Sweet Pea Sabotage, and it is a superwash merino nylon 75-25 split. So there's your info there. Then the pattern that I was looking for a pattern to make the shawl with this yarn, and I actually I found this one. This is called Wind of Change, and it's by Nadia Cretin Le Chêne. I hope I pronounced that correctly. And this is what it looks like. So if I bring it closer, you can see the detailing. It's got garter stitch sections. It's got what looks like brioche, but actually it is ribbing somehow. And then it's got some picot edging on the bottom there. So I bought this on Ravelry, and I am planning to use this pattern to make the shawl with this yarn, but I'm kind of not right in the right headspace to start it yet, so we shall see. I want to get it done by Christmas, so we'll see how that works out. It seems to be, it's a paid for pattern, so I can't show you anything more than the picture. It's got a lace chart as well as written instructions, which is great, because if I'm not too proficient in reading the charts properly, especially after having a gap between a gap in my knitting, so it takes me a little while to get back in the swing of reading a chart. So yeah, so having the written instructions should help somewhat, but yeah, that is on my list of things to knit with that yarn. I also picked up another ball of yarn from Lay Family Yarns as well, because why not, they had it there, it was on the website, and this one is called Winter's Tale, and I want to use this one to make socks. So this is what the yarn looks like. And Lay Family Yarns again, same 75-25 merino nylon base, and it's called Winter's Tale, the colourway. So that's that. It's a lovely blue. So yeah, so those are my knitting purchases. I'm looking forward to starting something with these. I want to make socks out of these, but the plan is to do some patterned socks, and not just do my go-to vanilla socks. So I'm kind of waiting to get that inspiration back to knit the pair of socks with this, because I really do want to start the shawl before I start the socks. But I don't know, I have to wait for the mood to take me to want to do my sock knitting, so we shall see when I get round to that. Lastly, I bought a pattern, well no, it was a free pattern. I was watching Ellie Welly Stitcher. She has a podcast about cross stitching generally, and she has a chair that she sits on, and on the chair she had this blanket or Afghan, and every time I watch her video, I'm looking at this Afghan, and I actually finally asked her what it was, and she gave me the information, the pattern information, and it's a free pattern, and I downloaded it. Not sure when I'm actually going to get to knit this up, but it looks so lovely. I really love her one, and I just couldn't resist. So this is called Lover's Knot Afghan. It's a Lion Brand Fisherman's Wool Lover's Knot Afghan, and this is what it looks like. And go and check out Ellie's podcast, Ellie Welly Stitcher. She has this on the chair that she sits on when she's doing her videos, and you can actually see it. It is so nice to look at. It looks like it looks like a complicated knit, but she assures me it's quite easy. So when I finally get round to knitting that, we shall see if she is just trying to be kind and say that it's easy, or if it actually really is easy, because it's cables. So you know, maybe it'll take a little while to knit it, but you know, we shall see. Anyway, that is my knitting section done. So let's put all that aside and move on to the cross stitching. So first up, for my cross stitching projects, I've been working on three projects, but I have one that has really taken me. So I will show you that in a moment. So I'm going to start by showing you what I worked on when I finished my last video. So as I mentioned in a previous video, I was working on this Pothy Threads kit, which is called London, and that's what it looks like. Now I have completed, let's see, this section here and across here. So I've done this section, middle section here, and across here. And this project is done on 16 count blue Ada, and I'm using my R&R frame, and this is where I am. I'll show you, I'll insert a picture of where it was last time beside this, hopefully, so you can see the difference. So I've worked on all of this section here. I've worked on filling in the train, the tube train. I've filled in the road, filled in the bus. I've got this section here to fill in, the stitching here, and this section here, and then that's basically up to here would be a page finish. I have photocopied the actual chart onto A4 size sheets, and so this is actually an A4 page finish once I've done this bit here. So that's where I'm at with this. I did do some colour completing for the bus. I completed the red bit. I'm trying to decide whether to, once I've completed this page, whether to work upwards or whether to just work out this way and then just finish that whole bottom left section of the design. So yeah, because this is the very bottom of the print of the actual chart, and then it goes left this way and then it goes right that way, so there's still some to do in that direction and still some in this direction. And I was kind of thinking that if I work in this direction, then I can just work as far as I can on this side and know that I've finished that edge and have an edge, and then just kind of work upwards. But yeah, it's one of those things that once I actually start stitching on it, then all of the decisions that I've made previously tend to go out of the window, and I just work on what I feel like working on. So I will complete, like last time I just wanted to finish the red. I wanted to just finish the red bit of the bus, and that's what I did. And part of me just wanted to finish the road section, so I would just keep going until the road was done, for example. So yeah, we shall see, but that's where I'm at with London. Next we have the Fruit of Plenty Sal. So this is a modern folk embroidery stitch along, and the stitch along lasts for 12 months. I know it's October, but I've just finished the March section. So last time round, when I showed on the video, I had only completed this, I'd completed these two, January and February, and this time, during that time, between then and this video, I've now completed this section. So this is worked on 16 count, what's the colour, Ada? Oatmeal. 16 count oatmeal Ada. And the colours that I'm using are 3750 dark blue and 932 light blue. So I'm using the two colours. They are DMC colours as recommended by Jacob, the designer of Modern Folk Embroidery. So this is what it looks like at the moment. So you can see I've done January, February and March. So I'm really pleased with that. Quite excited actually. So I didn't really have any issues with this print. I really enjoyed doing I enjoyed the fact that it wasn't solid stitching and there were gaps in here. I found these bits quite easy to do. I did make some mistakes at some points on the counting in this section. When it came to the blue section, I made a couple of mistakes, and some of them I've had to rip them out and redo, and some of them, I think there was one mistake that I made down here somewhere, where I put in a stitch where it wasn't meant to be, and I haven't ripped it out because I feel like it really doesn't make a huge difference to the overall design. Whereas in some cases, like if you go one stitch out over here, then it messes up the symmetry for this section here. So sometimes I end up having to completely rip out things if I've made a mistake, but sometimes, like on this section, I can kind of, it is quite forgiving, and I can get away with just leaving it in and continuing. So I'm really enjoying this stitch along. I find a lot of satisfaction in completing just the little motifs, just the little sections. I get a lot of satisfaction out of that, so I'm really, really enjoying this, and I can't wait to move on to this section, April. Even though we are now in October, I'm so far behind, but I did start late, and I'm not really bothered by the fact that I've started late. I actually just am enjoying the stitch. Moving on, so I have also been working on the Dimensions Gold Collection Lakeside Village piece, which is this one. I will insert a picture of what it looked like last time. So this is worked on 16 count blue Aida using Dimensions own threads, and this is where I am at now. So as you can see, last time round there were gaps here where the boat was, there was some gaps in the water, a few gaps up here. I filled all of this in, and I have been working on this section here. So I've gridded this out using a pencil. I know you're not supposed to use pencil on your fabric, but I figure that no one's going to be able to see that when it's completed because it's all going to be covered. So let's just, this is a little bit straggly. So yeah, so anyway, so I've gridded it using a pencil, and I find it easier to do it that way, and I've been working in rows from the bottom. So I've been working across the bottom, filling the gaps, working upwards. So I'm using the method of working in a section. So I'll choose a colour, I will work to try and fill in this section here, for example, the little gaps there. And once I finish this section here with that colour, I will find the instances of that colour and try and finish off the thread elsewhere. And then once I've done that, then I go back to the next section, say here that is missing a colour, and I'll try and fill this in until I've got that bottom row completed, and then I can just slowly, gradually move upwards. That's the plan. So that worked for a while. I did this in a few days, working along the bottom. And the only thing I'm finding now is that with this Dimensions kit, I'm running out of threads for certain colours. So I'm having to pull in colours that I have, pull in substitutions to try and finish it off now. And as I mentioned before, I'm not sure if that is because perhaps the previous owner had used those colours when they'd maybe tried to stitch it when they had it, or if that is genuinely because Dimensions didn't provide enough of that particular colour. So I'm not quite sure which it is, but in either case I'm having to find substitutions for some of the colours that are missing, so it's taken a little bit more time. In this section here, these are generally full cross stitches, but as I get into the blue C bit, so the blue bits are usually half cross. When it comes to the C, these bits are half cross, and then they're slightly thicker in some cases. It might be 3 strands instead of 2, so it gets a little bit more taxing. You have to have a little bit more concentration to remember to increase the strands that you're using, and to use full crosses instead of just assuming that they're half crosses. So that's kind of why I started working in this section, to avoid doing the switching to half crosses and using lots and lots of strands of thread, because I think in some cases I have to use 5 strands of thread for some of the water. So yeah. The plan was for this piece to just start from the bottom and just keep working my way up. However, I am really excited to do some of this section here because there are changes. There are parts in the design up here that are going to be a little bit more interesting. So in this section here, there's like a little balcony to fill in, to complete. And then when I get down to this section here, there's like the little top of the doorway, there's like a little cover over the doorway, and that's blue, so that's kind of intriguing. And then there's a doorway down here. So if I show you here, we have this detail here So it starts getting exciting because things start to change a bit. You start to be able to use different colours, and I quite would like to do the road or the pathway, but that's all in grey. And I've kind of started, well, there's a little bit of the start of the pathway down here, so that kind of goes upwards, but yeah, I'm not sure. When I pick it up again, then I'll decide what I'm actually going to do, where I'm going to start. But I kind of am kind of looking forward to having a different colour, a change of colour, and starting to work from here downwards a bit, I think. So we shall see, but I will get back to this one at some point. So that is Lakeside Village. Last thing I have been working on, and the newest thing, this is a new start. This one came from a book. So I was watching Ashley from Yas Stitches on YouTube, and he showed off a design that he had been working on by Emma Condon, which is from this Cross Stitch for the Soul book. So I really liked what he was working on, so I thought I had a look at the book online to see what kind of designs there were in it, and I eventually decided to buy it. So this is the 20 Designs to Inspire Cross Stitch for the Soul by Emma Condon, and I think quite a few people have heard of Emma Condon. So this is the design I have been working on. Trying to, it's awkward to show this without ruining the book. That's the design there that I have decided to work on. Worry does not take away tomorrow's troubles, it takes away today's peace. And this is using DMC threads, 2/1 on 16 count Ada. I'm using it. It's designed to be worked on 14 count Ada, but I've decided to do it on 16 count Ada because I thought, why not? And I've got quite far on this. This is one that I found really difficult to put down, just like the Modern Folk Embroidery one. So this is what it looks like. This is how far I've got. I just completed the word piece yesterday, the CE. I wanted to finish the outline of the design, and so I started at one point, and then I thought, oh well, I'm gonna have to do a lot of counting if I want to finish the outline. So I thought what I'll do is I'll just work a couple of the letters from each word and just work down. So I started with a W, then this word, then a little bit of this section, then that, and then down to here, and then I was able to just complete all of this this border edge quite easily without doing too much counting. And then I just decided to do some of the words, individual words, and I just kind of went with whatever mood took me, and I somehow ended up over there. I've ended up doing a bit here. Yesterday I've done a bit of work on this, but essentially I found it quite an enjoyable stitch so far. I really like this design, and I'm enjoying doing the words. The only thing I found is that I've run out of one thread so far, and it does say in the chart and instructions to purchase two lots of that thread, 2 skeins of that particular colour, and I didn't. I purchased one, so I missed that. So I need to buy another one of the colour to complete the border, and I realised that one colour that I'm missing is actually used quite a lot in the whole design. So so I really need to get that before I can crack on doing some of the other sections. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it. It's quite an easy stitch. I think this probably would be quite good for a beginner actually, because it's just like just doing a letter at a time is quite easy, for want of a better word, quite relaxing, you know, something to focus on. I'm enjoying doing it, and yeah, that's where I am. Excuse all the little hanging threads, but that's kind of where I've just left things so I can continue them later. But I'm really enjoying this, and this is the plan for this is to finish it up, put it in a frame and gift it as part of a Christmas present. So we shall see how I get on with this, but this one is really keeping me going. It's really been keeping me going this week. I've really enjoyed stitching on this, and I can't wait to get this one done and move on to another design, to be fair. Not because I hate it and I just want to get it finished, but because I'm enjoying it. So yeah, so that is it. So those are DMC colours that I use here. I've thought about doing some other designs and perhaps substituting some of the colours. I've never actually properly done a full substitution of colours for any cross stitching, so that would be an experience, but we shall see. But yeah, that is it. That is my cross stitching. So that was my incoming for the cross stitching section, and I've shown you the yarns that I got for the knitting section, and that's what I've been doing over the last few weeks. So I hope you've enjoyed seeing what I've been up to. Oh, my leg is kind of dead now. Hopefully I will have more to show in a few weeks time. I've got some crocheting I should really get working on. I was working on a blanket that I showed. I need to get back to that. I've got diamond painting I need to get finished, but I've kind of run out of steam on, but I know that that one needs to be finished. I want to get that shawl done. I have so many plans. This is the problem. I have so many plans for things that I want to do, and I just don't seem to have enough time to fit everything in. I know this is a common crafter problem, isn't it? So it is what it is. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed what I've been sharing with you today. If you've liked what you've seen, then give me some thumbs up. If you like the new format of this video, let me know. Give me some feedback in the comment section below the video. I'll try and list everything that I have worked on in the description box below the video with links if possible. But yeah, if you have any questions, then leave those in the comment section below the video and I will get back to you as soon as I possibly can. That is it from me. Thank you so much for watching and spending a little time with me, and I will see you in a few weeks' time. Bye for now.